Okay, so let's be honest. UFO sightings, there's just something about them that grabs you, right?
Yeah, it's like,
It's the mystery, the unknown.
totally. Like, what if there's something out there we just don't get?
And back in the late 80s, Belgium, well, is UFO Central.
Oh, yeah, the Belgian Triangle, right.
Exactly, the Belgian Triangle.
Yeah.
They had witnesses, investigations, the whole shebang.
We're talking tons of reports, really detailed stuff. Even the Belgian Air Force jumped in.
So today, we're going to dig into this whole thing, figure out what really went down and why everybody was so obsessed with it.
What's crazy is how much evidence there was. Even decades later, people are still talking about it.
Right. Hundreds of reports, people describing these things in detail.
This wasn't just some blurry pictures. People were saying they saw massive triangular things, bright lights, just hovering silently.
One sighting that really stands out, two police officers, they described this slow-moving triangular thing shooting out beams of light. And then there's that photo by Patrick M. in Pity-Rachane. Looked like a triangular craft with lights at the corners. It felt like something huge was happening.
And then when the military got involved, that's when things really blew up.
Totally. People think, well, if the Air Force is taking it seriously, there must be something to it.
It's like there's this automatic bias to trust what authorities say, especially about UFOs. Like official confirmation bias, you know?
And it wasn't just them. The media went wild. Headlines about alien invasions, can you imagine?
Oh, for sure.
Really kicked up the urgency, got everyone speculating.
Absolutely. The media was a huge amplifier, you know, creating what we call an information cascade.
An information cascade.
Yeah, basically everyone's hearing the same thing over and over, so even if the evidence is weak, they start to believe the hype.
Makes sense. Back then, the media had so much power.
Oh, yeah, totally. All these UFO reports, they really shaped how people saw it.
It's amazing how just hearing something a lot, especially from sources you trust, can make you believe it, even without solid proof. But then, the truth came out. And guess what? It wasn't aliens after all.
Nope. Remember those triangular shapes everyone was talking about with the lights?
Yeah.
Turns out, investigative journalists and scientists, they did some digging and found something a little less exciting. Flares attached to helium balloons.
Wait, so all that, the military, the media frenzy, it was all just a prank.
Pretty much.
What a letdown.
It really shows you the power of Occam's razor. You know that principle.
Refresh my memory.
Basically, the simplest explanation is usually the right one.
Oh, right.
So think about it. Is it more likely that aliens visited us with super advanced technology, or that someone just messed around with some flares and balloons?
Okay, so before we jump to conclusions, especially about something amazing, we should think about the simplest, most logical explanation.
Exactly. It's like if you're walking in the woods and you hear something rustling in the bushes, your brain might jump to wild animals, maybe even something spooky.
Right.
But most likely, it's just the wind, or a squirrel, or something simple.
Makes sense. So Occam's razor helps us be more skeptical, which is a good thing. But how do we use that with something like the Belgian Triangle? I mean, there were so many witnesses, and even the military was involved. How do we figure out what's real and what's not?
Well, that's where critical thinking comes in. It's not about dismissing everything unusual. It's about carefully looking at the evidence. Think about where the information is coming from.
Okay.
Are there any biases? Are there other explanations people haven't considered? In the Belgian Triangle case, once the hoax was exposed, it became pretty clear that a lot of those early reports, well, they were influenced by all the hype and wanting to be part of something big.
So even with a ton of witnesses and the military involved, there's still room for critical thinking and healthy skepticism.
Absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement, especially when it's about the unknown. But remembering that things aren't always what they seem, that's super important.
You're right. So even though the Belgian Triangle turned out to be a hoax, people are still fascinated by it. Why do you think that is?
Well, you know, I think it's because we're just fascinated by the things we can't explain. The idea that there might be life out there on other planets, it's something that's always intrigued us.
It's true. It's a powerful idea.
Even when we see evidence that says it's not true, that desire to believe can be really strong.
You know, it's funny, even I catch myself getting drawn into these stories. There's a part of me that wants to believe, even when logic says, hey, that's probably not true.
Right?
It's wild how powerful those beliefs can be.
It is. That's why it's so important to understand how our minds work, the psychology behind believing in something. We all have biases, especially when it comes to topics that make us feel strongly or tap into things we really want to be true.
Okay, so we've got those biases, the wanting to believe, and then you add in the media frenzy around the Belgian Triangle.
Yeah.
No wonder people got swept up in it.
It makes sense.
But how can we stop ourselves from falling for those biases?
Hmm.
Especially now, we're bombarded with information all the time, from everywhere.
That's the big question, isn't it? It's not about being cynical or not believing anything. It's more about learning to question things, to think critically.
So what does that look like? Give me some examples.
Well, first, think about where the information is coming from. Who's saying it? And what are they trying to do? Are they selling something? Do they have an agenda?
Okay.
Then look at the evidence. Is it based on facts, things you can check? Or is it just rumors and guesses?
Okay, so look at the source, look at the evidence.
Right. And just as importantly, think about other possible explanations. Are there simpler answers that haven't been talked about?
So it's like being curious, questioning everything, not just taking things at face value, even if they seem convincing at first.
Exactly. And this isn't just about UFOs, it's about everything. News articles, social media, even conversations with friends. Approach it all with a bit of healthy skepticism. Be open to different perspectives. Don't just accept what you're told, even if it's from someone you usually trust.
There's that saying, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And with the Belgian Triangle, the claims were definitely extraordinary, but the evidence, not so much.
You got it. It's the perfect example of how a good story, pumped up by the media and official attention, can create a belief that's hard to shake even when the proof is weak.
It's interesting, though, even after the hoax was revealed, people still talk about the Belgian Triangle.
Yeah.
What is it about this case in particular that keeps capturing people's imaginations?
Well, I think it's a few things. First, you've got the whole UFO mystery, that age-old question, are we alone? It's a big question, a powerful one. Then there's the official involvement, which we talked about. It makes the story seem more believable, even if it turns out to be false. And lastly, you can't forget about the media. The way they reported on the Belgian Triangle with those dramatic headlines and constant coverage, they created a story that was really hard to resist.
It was like the perfect recipe for a legend, you know. Makes you think about how many other events in history might have been shaped by the same things, even if they weren't about UFOs.
That's a really good point. And it brings us back to the importance of critical thinking. We need to be aware of these things and how they can shape what we believe, even when we think we're being totally objective. So going back to your question about how to protect ourselves from misinformation, I think, the key is realizing that we all have these biases, these mental shortcuts our brains use,
Right.
and they can really mess with how we see things, especially when it comes to information.
So first we have to admit that we're not perfectly rational all the time.
Exactly. Once we get that, then we can start being more aware of what we're taking in. Ask ourselves, why do I believe this?
Go on.
What evidence backs this up? Are there other points of view I haven't even thought about?
It's like we're always questioning ourselves, not to be negative, but to get a clearer picture.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's about healthy skepticism, not just about the information itself, but about how we understand it.
So it's a two-way street. Question the source and question yourself.
Exactly.
Thinking about all the stuff I just accepted as true over the years kind of makes you humble, you know? But it's cool realizing you can think for yourself, come to your own conclusions.
That's the best part. Critical thinking isn't about having all the answers. It's about being open to new stuff, challenging what you think you know, always learning.
It's like a journey, huh?
It really is.
So the Belgian Triangle, even though it was a fake, it's a lesson in how to think critically and how to deal with the media.
Absolutely. It shows how easily we can be fooled by something that seems believable, especially if it taps into our hopes or fears.
Right.
But it also shows that if we think critically, we can see through the illusions and find the truth.
It reminds us to be careful, ask questions, look for different viewpoints.
Yeah.
This isn't just about UFOs. It's about how we handle all the information coming at us, all the time.
It's about taking control, becoming smarter about the information we consume, and realizing that not everything we see or hear is true. We need to get good at separating fact from fiction.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Belgian Triangle UFO hoax, we've learned more than just what was behind those strange lights. We've looked at the psychology of believing, how social pressures can affect us, and how important critical thinking is in this world of information overload.
Exactly. And as you continue exploring the unexplained, always keep questioning, challenging what you think you know, and keep learning. If something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Keep that in mind as you explore, especially when it comes to the extraordinary. Happy exploring.